So much light. Daylight. All the time. And on sunny days, it almost felt like you were sitting outside. It was that bright.
That surprised you, Greg?
It was a factory. I thought it would be dark and dirty.
Then why go work there?
I was 15. It's time I paid my own way.
Pay your own way? What about school?
Oh, I didn't miss that so much. Girls were all so nice and work wasn't hard. It wasn't factory work, really. It was more like art, painting those dials. We were artists.
I'm really not the one you should be talking to. Von Sochocky. He's the one you should speak with.
No, Arthur. You know he won't speak to us.
But it was his process.
Tell me about that process. Use a powder.
We used the powder. The girls mixed it with an adhesive to form the paint. But that business with the brushes, that wasn't my invention. They were doing that when I started.
But you knew about it.
Well, we all knew about it. We just didn't realize what it meant.
Irene?
Grace, in here.
Irene, what are you doing?
Get the door. Holly is working inspection today.
Is that bad?
Not for us. She's gonna be in here all day long, by herself, in the dark, checking dials. Poor thing, poor thing. So we are gonna give her a little surprise. Boo! Like the Cheshire Cat.
Won't that make her mad?
Let her get mad. Let's have some fun.
I don't want to make her mad.
Grace, why do you have to be that way about everything?
What way?
Grace, put some on your teeth. It ain't like Amalia don't deserve it. She paints more dials than any girl on the floor and can't be bothered to talk to nobody either. You say, Amalia, what's new? She just looks at you funny.
Well, I don't think she can speak much English.
Wouldn't give her a smile, though, would it? She's coming. Get the light.
Mrs. MacNeil.
Paint your faces? Are you girls out of your minds? Just a joke. A joke? A joke like that can lose a girl her job.
No, Mrs. MacNeil. I'm sure that won't be necessary.
I don't tolerate no foolishness, Doctor.
Yeah, very good. Foolishness we don't want, do we? Mr. Reader, this is the inspection room. All dials come here that are painted. And here are some girls who should on the floor be working. Girls, this is Mr. Reader, my new plant manager, your new plant manager, and my new vice president.
Now, just telling Mr. Reader what nice, wonderful girls we have here. I must think I'm half out of my mind at this point.
Mr. Reader, perhaps you have some words for the girls. Mrs. MacNeil.
Well, girls, this paint you're playing with, it's very expensive. You realize this? It takes several tons of ore to produce a single gram of radium. Now, that's a lot of work. Hard work. For our men in the extraction rings. They do this work gladly. Do you understand why? Why we all work so hard? What we're all working for?
The war?
That's right. The war. The dials you paint save lives, girls. Our boys in the field depend on it. To read them in the dark, no mistaking what they see. And without them, well, some of those boys won't be coming home. So if you mess around and don't take work seriously, well, you're playing straight into the hands of the Kaiser. And we don't want that now, do we?
No, sir.
So let's leave the tomfoolery to home and get back to work.
Mr. Reader, I just want to say that I'm sorry. I won't do nothing like this ever again.
Well, dear, just remember this. If you do right by us, we'll do right by you.
May 17th, 1921. Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic. The New York Graphic's only girl reporter.
Jack Youngler for the New York Ledger, Newark's first source for news.
Madame Marie Curie, eminent French scientist, embarks on a whistle-stop tour of the United States.
First stop, New York City, where she is greeted by an enthusiastic crowd of well-wishers.
The High Priestess of Science is on her way to Washington, where she will receive 1 gram of radium, valued at $100,000.
Purchased for her by the members of the Marie Curie Radio Club, an association of 100,000 American women.
Who each gave $1 to support humanitarian research of radium. Hey, Grace, over here.
Irene, look, I got my certificate. Member, Marie Curie Radium Club.
You gave $1?
Well, it's all for science.
Science. What about my room and board?
Oh, look, there she is.
Welcome all, welcome all. I must ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, to please limit your questions. Madame Curie is about to embark on an exhaustive tour of the country, and she's under strict doctor's orders to rest. But in a typical fashion of a scientist, who can only think of the research and the work, she has refused to rest.
Madam Curie, what will you do with the radio? What will you do with the radio?
I will continue my experiments to find better methods for the treatment of the cancer.
Is radium the cure for all cancers?
Cure for the cancer? Yes, cure for the cancer. That is so. Radium has already cured all kinds of the cancer.
But some doctors dispute that.
Then they do not understand the method. There is no question. Radium will cure the cancer.
Madam Curie,
Madam Curie.
Madam Curie, how have you managed to devote yourself both to science and to your children?
It has not been easy. But my daughters share my gratitude to the American women for their interest in science and my work. I am most grateful.
Madam Curie.
Madam Curie.
Madam Curie.
No more questions. Madame Curie is on a tight schedule. Mrs. Andrew Carnegie has sent a call and will escort Dr. Curie forcibly. As a Y, to Washington, with President Claudine will accept 1 gram of radium.
You see that, Charlie? Now that's a marketing opportunity. Let's send her one of our customers' watches. The courtesy, the U.S. Radium Corporation.
We'll need a press release.
Radium. It isn't just for scientists to study anymore. Now the average American can share in its glory every night. Luminous clocks, luminous watches, and to anyone who thinks that radium is just a novelty, consider all the other technological advances made in the past 50 years. The electric light bulb, for example, or the telegraph,
The telephone.
or even the automobile. All inventions once disregarded as simple novelties, as toys.
Are now essentials for modern life. Got it. That ought to sell some watches.
Watches, absolutely. But that's not where the growth is now, Charlie. You heard the lady. It's the medical market.
Standard Chemical owns it.
Only because von Sochocky lets them. We could have half their business if we wanted to. It's just a matter of positioning.
Standard Chemical publishes its own medical journal. Sends it out monthly to 12,000 doctors. We could do something similar.
Something scholarly. Something that the doctor would respect.
Like a bibliography, listing every article ever published on radium.
But with capture reports. You see, the doctors, they need information. And they'd find it. Find it fast.
And have us to thank for it.
Let's send one to every doctor in the U.S. Radium Society.
Every doctor in the American Medical Association.
That's the spirit, Charlie. Advertising. It's the wave of the future. It's not just the product anymore, but it's the way you promote it.
They were orchids, Irene.
Flags. Orchids. I know an orchid when I see one. Purple orchids. Oh, and Grace, that smell. What was it? It was like flowers? No, it was like heaven. I was gonna say it was like heaven.
Like heaven. Kathryn, really, it was just a funeral. You're making it out like it was some Valentino picture.
It wasn't just a funeral, though. It was Amalia's. And it looked like the botanical gardens in there. Oh, Grace. The company sent a big spray of flowers, too. Carnations.
Mums.
Yellow carnations.
Those were mums.
Well, it seems like a nice service anyhow.
Girls, the whistle is already blown. Now, I've been given new instructions this morning. We're going back to the old way of pointing the brushes. There's losing too much paint on the cloth.
But
Yes, Grace? You have something to say?
Dr. von Sochocky told me not to do that. He says it's unsanitary.
Unsanitary. Now, why would he say something like that? We've been pointing the brushes this way since before I got here. You must have misunderstood him.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you're not going to get a new brush until you're done with the old. And it's got to be so bad you can't get a point no more.
You can't make quota like that.
Well, you'll sure try.
I need a new brush.
It's not for us to be asking the questions. It's for us to be doing the work.
I have my instruction, girls. I have my instructions.
Yeah, here's an instruction for you, MacNeil. Let some of the starch out of your corset.
Was she at the service?
MacNeil, are you kidding? You think she crossed the street for her own mother?
Most everybody else from the floor was, though. You was about the only girl who wasn't.
Well, I wanted to go, but Ma was working and I had to watch the little ones.
You could have brought them.
All 7.
If it was me, I'd have tried to be there at least. Lay off. Grease feels bad as it is.
Many of the fellows there?
Oh yeah, lots of fellows from downstairs. Mr. Roth from the office, Dr. Von Sochocky. Oh, and Mr. Reeder was there too.
Yeah, but he left early.
He was there all the same. Oh, you remember that fellow from crystallizing? Oh, what was his name? The one with the freckles and the hair?
George.
Jerry.
I think it's George.
It's Jerry. Jerry Malone. He was the guy who was always talking to Molly in the day room.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then at the end of the service, he goes up to the coffin like this.
No.
Yes.
Really?
Really? Ah!
Oh, for pity's sake.
Well, he did. Nobody could believe it.
So what if he did?
So what? He was in love with her. That's so what? Don't you think so, Grace?
Well, I guess he had to be.
He did that. And can you imagine if he loved her and never told her, never could bring himself to say? Because she was so beautiful, but he was so shy. And now it's too late. It's too late. Their love forever thwarted. He never got the chance to tell her, and he'll never again.
Poor Amelia.
Poor Amalia.
Poor kid.
Albina and Quinta, they were all crying. Even their father, just crying so badly. Never seen a man cry like that before, just bawling like a baby.
And you know why, too.
Because their daughter had died.
What she died from?
Irene, don't go spreading rumors.
It's not a rumor. Albina told us. No reason Grace shouldn't know.
No what? No what? Amalia?
Yeah. Albina said her father took it pretty bad. 6 girls at home, and none of them are ever gonna go to a dance again.
All because Amalia up and died of syphilis. I can't help it, that's what she died from.
You don't know that for sure.
It's on the death certificate.
Anemia and complications from syphilis.
But Amalia was ever so nice.
I guess she got around more than we knew.
Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe the doctor got it wrong.
Come on.
He could have got it wrong. Doctors are wrong sometimes.
It's true. Doctor was wrong about Aunt Ivy.
What's Mama got to do with this?
Irene, don't you remember? Up until the day she died, doctor said, oh, she'll be fine. Get a good night's rest and drink a cup of tea. And then 2 days later, we was taking her to Rosedale Cemetery.
Girls, the gentlemen have an announcement to make.
Yes. We are here to put a few rumors to rest.
And to explain some changes, huh?
As some of you may have heard by now, Dr. Von Sochocky is stepping down. And he'd like to take this opportunity
To make this go by. And Mr. Reeder has kindly consented. Some of you I've known since you were little girls, coming here during the war, working so hard, day after day at the bench, 200, 300, some of you 500 dials a day. So excited to be part of our work here. When this company I start in my own kitchen, mixing up some paints, I knew I discovered something miraculous. Something to make life better, easier. And now, what do I read? More and more uses are there for the radio. More than I ever dreamed possible.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, thank you. Now, girls, the doctor is a very busy man, and he must be on his way. So let's take this opportunity to wish him the best of luck in his new business ventures. Very good. Now, girls.
I'm Mr. Reeder. Let us good luck wish to you also, to the plate he steps as your new company president. Our congratulations to you.
Thank you, Doctor.
When Mr. Vida came 4 years ago to us, I saw in him a man of great enterprise.
Yes, thank
and
you.
great ambition. Little did I guess the directions that ambition would take. But one of the things that makes this country great is the opportunity it presents to a young man and his friends.
And so, girls.
And so, ladies, let us wish Mr. Vida the very best in the new direction he intends the company to take. With the soda and dial painting,
Now,
and
Doctor.
business moving into the medical market, there's going to be lots of changes, y'all.
What the doctor is referring to is, well, some of our larger customers are setting up their own dial painting studios.
Which means less work for our girls here.
In the short run, work may be slower. But the Canterbury Clock Company in Connecticut is looking for help setting up new studios. We're intending to make an announcement next week. But I guess we'll make it now. Mrs. MacNeil,
We'll be sending some of you girls up there.
the work is mainly supervisory in nature, which means better pay. You have a few girls in mind.
Yes. Sarah Dutch, Lynn McCarthy, and Kathryn Shaw. I have the whole list downstairs. I'll post it later today.
Fine. Well, there you have it, girls. And now, as we're all on the clock, let's get back to work.
Thank you, ladies. My best wishes to you.
That's back to work with you girls.
You gonna do it, Kathryn? You gonna take that job?
Would you go to Connecticut?
I don't know. It's far from home. How would that ever fit?
But it'd be fun. Don't you think so? Hey, Irene, what about Irene?
Irene, honey, you all right?
Huh? Yeah, it was indeed.
What? The mouth is for you.
$34 a week and she quits the place?
Well, more life and money.
That's what you say when you're young, Tom. When you and Grace get to be my age with a house full of your kids underfoot, you'll thank God for every penny you put by.
We got money put by.
How much?
Enough to get married on.
Doesn't take much to get married on. Do you have enough to stay married on?
Well, you let us get married. We'll find out.
You're still eating, Tommy.
It's good.
You're gonna get fat.
Yeah.
Gotta keep up his strength. He works hard for his money.
Oh, please don't.
I didn't say nothing. It's your father who hit the roof over it.
He didn't hit the roof.
You should have seen the man's face on when he found out Grace wasn't working no more. Most girls would give their eye teeth for a job like that. Good money, easy work, nice looking fellas around the plant.
You didn't tell me about them, Grace.
Wasn't that many of them. Hardly seemed worth the mention.
And she leaves it all behind for reasons unknown. I'm tired of it up there, she says. Are you tired of the paycheck, I said. Who needs a paycheck, she says. I got me a boyfriend to take me out on Saturdays.
She said that.
Oh, you know I didn't. And for your information, I got a job. Started the bank on Monday.
Oh yeah? The bank? What's it pay?
Enough.
Enough? Always enough. You know what this means, Tom. It doesn't come close to what they pay at the radium plant.
It's office work.
Office work? Well, I guess that means you'll be spending more money on clothes then.
Well, she just really steamed at you.
I just don't see what difference it makes so long as I'm working somewhere.
Don't make no difference to me. I just thought you liked it up there, you know?
Of course I liked it there. Worked there 4 years.
So? I've been delivering mail 8 years. Plan to do it another 20 or 30, if I'm lucky. Nothing like a steady job and a good pension to help you sleep at night.
Well, I don't have a pension, and I sleep just fine.
Sure you do. So how come you quit, Grace?
Lots of girls are quitting. Work is slow. Besides, since Irene left, it hasn't been as much fun. Wouldn't you rather have a girlfriend who works at a bank?
Not as much as I'd like to have a wife who doesn't work anywhere.
Close your eyes. I got a surprise for you.
Yeah? Want for me to pull the shades?
Not that kind of surprise. Close your eyes. Now look,
Wallpaper.
the baby's room.
Baby's room? You won't kiss me and you're talking about babies?
Well, there's gonna be babies eventually, Tommy.
Well, sure, but you know, most girls, Grace, they get married before they decorate the nursery.
Plan ahead for once. Now, pick one.
They're both the same.
No, they're not. This one has big flowers, and this one has little flowers. So pick one.
Is this some kind of test?
No, it's just wallpaper.
This is some kind of test.
Pick one, Tommy.
This one.
Really?
Okay, this one then.
Which do you like?
They're both nice.
This one's pretty, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, that one.
But I want you to like it too.
If you like it, I'll like it. Wallpaper is wallpaper.
No, it isn't. You gotta pick something you can stand to look at for 20 years.
Same way you pick women?
Keep it up, smarty pants, and you won't ever get that kiss.
Alright, this one, hands down.
I like it too. A nice neutral yellow goes with either a boy or a girl until the baby comes. You can use room for other things.
Yeah? Like what?
Like a painting studio, maybe?
A painting studio, maybe. Hey, didn't you get enough of that painting up at work?
Not the kind I wanted to do. Tommy, I used to paint watercolors at school. Ever since I started working, I just don't have no time. But with watching the kids and helping Ma, once we get married, I just want some time. Just a little myself. So I can paint watercolors or oils maybe even portraits in oil. I can paint your picture if you like.
Yeah, why not? Paint a big old picture of me and we'll hang it in the outhouse. All our friends will come around just to use the can so they can look at it.
The way you talk sometimes.
Look, Grace, you want to paint pictures, paint pictures. I ain't gonna stop ya.
You say that now, but once we get married, you'll change your tune.
Sure, I'll be whistling Dixie.
Wait till you come home one night. Some Christmas maybe when every customer on your routes had 3 times the mail. Maybe some dog got after you. Maybe some old lady kept you waiting on her stoop, telling you all about her grandchildren. You wouldn't have the heart to tell her you can't talk. I know you. So you come home all cranky and late besides, hungry, want your dinner. And there I am with my easel set up in the kitchen, my drop cloth on the floor, my paints all over the table, and your dinner nowhere in sight. What would you say then?
I better be a picture of me you're painting.
Oh no, I know what you'd say. Where's my dinner? That's what you'd say. Where's my dinner?
Well, sure, but I still admire the painting. Just want to look at it on full stomach is all. So how'd I do? Pick the right wallpaper?
I don't know. You gotta look at some stripes.
Stripes, polka dots, I don't care. Just get married, Grace. You're plenty old enough. Tell your mom we ain't waiting no more. We'll just run off.
Tommy, we're not running off. We're gonna do this right. A nice church wedding with flowers and music, and a week at the seashore, just us. And after that, we'll get set up in our own place. You'll see. It'll be worth the wait.
Your mouth hurt you.
Yeah. Doctor wants to pull another tooth in the back.
Well, what's a tooth?
Hazel Custer, any connection to the others?
Only by virtue of employment.
Except she's got a good lawyer.
Knows how to write a good letter anyway, that lawyer.
And she no longer works here.
Left 6 months ago.
This makes 4 now. 3. The 4 if you count the Maggi girl.
I wouldn't include her.
She works here.
Yeah, but she also worked other places. What she died from, you couldn't pick that up here. At least, I don't think you could.
That's not funny, Charlie. Besides, it's just idle talk.
Well, in my experience, there's usually something to the idle talk when it comes to girls like that.
From a large family, wasn't she?
Italians. The conditions they live in. 10, 12 people in 3 rooms. It's a wonder they don't die of one infection or another.
3 then. And how many dead?
Only Miss Maggio. But I haven't heard from her folks yet.
It's too late for them anyway. The statute of limitations is 2 years. But Miss Custer is another story. She's in a position to make some real trouble now.
You know, in all the years I've worked here, noticed so much slips on the floor. And now this.
No, we're talking about, what, 4 girls here out of how many hundreds that we've employed?
6, 700. Over the years.
And some of them were sick when they got here. I mean, that one girl you hired was a complete cripple. Couldn't even walk up the stairs. Her father had to carry her up to the studio every morning.
Didn't make a difference to me how she got up the stairs. She was a fast worker and, frankly, a very sweet little girl.
But she was in poor health.
She needed to work.
Arthur, Charlie.
And not just for the money, but to feel productive, to have a purpose. You see, Charlie, that's what work does for you. It gives you a purpose. Now, I don't see any reason why we should quit hiring girls like her.
Well, when she gets sick and tries to blame us for it, you might want to reconsider that policy.
Let's see what Dr. Drinker has to say.
Dr. Drinker.
Some professor from the Harvard School of Industrial Hygiene.
He heads the department. He's agreed to come take a look at our operations.
Don't you think we're jumping the gun a bit hiring him?
6 girls have quit this week. Miss MacNeil tells me there could be more.
Girls come and go all the time.
But not like this, they don't. Those girls are terrified. You gotta do something to calm them down.
Letting Drinker examine them? That sounds to me like a recipe for mass hysteria.
Well, we'll tell them it's a routine physical. Edward?
The companies give physicals all the time.
Great. And then Drinker will start next month.
In the meantime, I recommend we make an offer to Miss Cusser.
Is settled?
There's no proof her problems are connected to us.
If she sues, believe me, you won't like the publicity it brings, and neither will your investors.
You think it will affect the stock offer?
Don't you?
Wonderful. We'll open at 30 and close at 10.
Or not open at all.
But if we give this girl something, you're saying that'll keep her quiet?
It would be a condition of the settlement.
Maybe we better do it.
You know, suppose this lawyer has a racket going. He convinces sick girls to make suits, and we reward him for his larceny.
Unless Miss Custer genuinely believes she got sick here.
It could be like Charlie said. She comes from a large immigrant family, not well educated, not a lot of resources.
A few $100s can make a big difference to a girl like that.
Certainly. Pay a few doctor's bills, buy some medicine. From the sound of that letter, it doesn't sound like she has long to live anyway.
So, it'd be a gesture of decency then.
Exactly.
Well, what do you think we should offer?
Twenty-fourth, 1924. Jack Youngwood here for the New York Ledger.
Miss Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic, the New York Graphic's only girl reporter.
Could radium water pose a cure for crippling arthritis? Scientific studies show a connection.
Dateline, Orange, New Jersey. Radium water products offer a miracle cure for crippling arthritis.
Some patients reported a significant abatement in their symptoms.
Mrs. Jerry Michaels of the Bronx tells how radium water transformed her.
My pain was so bad I could hardly bend over.
While others reported only mild relief.
This poor, brave woman couldn't even bend down to kiss her little ones goodnight.
And I have 3. Let me tell you, they're a handful.
Dr. Harrison Martland, Chief Medical Examiner for Essex County, commented on the study.
Preliminary at best.
The recommendations, Dr. Martland?
I advise further study.
Then Mrs. Michaels tried Radithor.
They said it would help my rheumatism. So I drank a bottle a day for a month. Wasn't cheap, but I was desperate.
The test sample was questionably small.
Well, first off, I felt like I'd been hit by a bolt of lightning. It was that powerful. Now, I drink a bottle a week just to maintain my health. I hang laundry, scrub the kitchen floor, same way I'd always done.
Dr. William J.A. Bailey of Orange, inventor of Radithor, reports strong demand for his product.
Dr. William Bailey announces sales of Radithor exceed 100,000 cases worldwide.
Radioactivity is one of the most remarkable agents in medical science. I drink Radithor myself, and I can vouch for its power.
A bottle a day?
At $1 a bottle?
Worth every penny.
Yes, indeed. I myself was the picture of lethargy before I discovered the amazing, vitalizing qualities of radium water. Now look at me. I'm nearly 50 years old, but I have the energy of a man in his 30s.
You rather look like a man in his 30s.
Well, thanks.
A testament to the tonic's potency?
Or to the seller's creativity?
Radithor, it is perpetual sunshine.
And a perpetual money machine for its inventor.
Is there no end to what science can do?
Maybe we should have made an appointment.
I don't need an appointment.
It's a busy place, Kathryn. If you don't have an appointment, maybe you should make one.
I
shouldn't need to make an appointment for this.
I'm sorry. I didn't find anything under Schwab.
No, it's under Rudolph.
Rudolph?
Yes, the girl I'm asking about, Irene Rudolph.
Did she file a complaint?
No! Her dentist did.
The dentist?
Yes! Dr. Neff, Irene's dentist. He said that she might have fussy jaw and that he was going to complain to the health department about it, but whenever I did ask him, he said he hadn't heard nothing, and it's been more than 6 months now.
Fussy jaw, you say?
Yes!
Kathryn, could have been like your doctor said. Blood infection.
Yeah? But what gave it to her? That's the thing. What was it from?
From dirt. You get infections from dirt.
From dirt. You think you get something like that from dirt? Her jaw, it puffed up like a pumpkin. Her teeth, it rotted so badly she couldn't eat nothing. You think you get something like that from a little dirt? No, you get it from phosphorus. They're telling everyone that it's radium in the paint, but it's really phosphorus that makes it glow.
Oh, honestly, Kathryn, you can't really believe that.
You saw her, Grace.
Kathryn, it feels like you say they didn't ever let her work up there in the first place.
Sure, they'd have to shut the place down.
Okay. Who's going to shut it down then?
I don't know, the county?
Honestly, Grace, you were such a ninny.
Hey,
It's all right, Tommy.
she's got no business talking to you that way.
She's just upset.
Upset? She's gone around the bend. She probably thinks they're dumping arsenic in the drinking water now. This will be they're stealing babies and using them to soak in the furnace.
Go ahead and laugh. You won't be laughing whenever it's you coming in here 6 months from now asking after Grace.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Kathryn, it's just a toothache.
Yeah, that's how it started for Irene. Just a toothache. You wait. One morning you'll wake up. Your gums hurting so badly you won't be able to open your mouth. So weak you won't be able to stand up.
Stop it, Kathryn.
The pain so badly you won't be able to sleep at night. And you know, your jaw, your face, it'll be so swollen. You won't be able to stand the sight of yourself.
I said stop it! Grace is fine. Right, Gracie?
Irene Rudolph?
Yeah.
She worked at the radium plant?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing.
Huh?
The company is in full labor with health and labor regulations. They ordered an analysis of the pain.
Let me see this.
Miss, really?
Who's Miss Young?
It's the health officer, Miss.
Radium and zinc?
As I was saying, there's no phosphorus in the paint. There's no phosphorus anywhere in the plant.
There. See, Kathryn?
Miss Young toured the plant herself. She found nothing amiss. Sorry.
Well, looks like we can get some lunch then, huh?
I want to file another complaint.
They already did an investigation.
I want to file another complaint.
Oh, brother.
Kathryn, these folks, they're awful busy here.
I want to file another complaint.
I just don't see what good this is going to do, Kathryn. To make such a fuss this way.
Grace. 3 surgeries, and they wanted to cut her open again. She finally said no. Because she knew what was left of her jaw. It rotted so badly. The smell was terrible. Grace, the worst of it was, she was terrified of being left alone. But I left her alone. When she died, it was the middle of the night. And nobody was with her.
I'm sorry. Can I have another form? My friend would like to file another complaint.
Another complaint? Is the girl still sick?
No. She died.
Wait right here.
Harriet! Come down from that tree at once! I'm waiting for Papa! Fine, when he gets here, I'll send
enjoying herself.
Harriet!
I'll tell you what. If she has no one to shout to, then she won't shout.
They can hear her all over the neighborhood.
Can they?
When she comes down, I want you to speak to her.
She's 9 years old, Diane.
I'm trying to raise a daughter, not a son.
And time is on your side. In a few years, she'll lose all interest in climbing trees and develop a fascination with boys.
That's supposed to scare me?
When that time comes, we'll be frantic, because she no longer wants to climb trees.
What's this?
It's something to give you vitality.
Do you think I need vitality?
That's what the bottle says.
Is it pure?
We're his supplier. You want a taste?
If it will give me vitality, how could I refuse? Your father came by to see me today.
Another hard luck case?
4 children at home, all under the age of 6.
Let me guess. Wife in the hospital with cancer.
Yes,
And husband just got laid off from, let's see, the brickyard.
yes.
Through no fault of his own.
How did you know?
Dad came by to see me yesterday. You know, it's never enough of that man to have ordinary ambitions. You have to have a mission in life.
And you do.
No, I have a business plan.
So you're telling me you wouldn't help this man if you could?
If I could. I can't just give him a job that doesn't exist.
What about Dan Lee?
Dan,
Maybe he could use some help.
in the laboratory? Dan needs trained technicians, not a bricklayer. Why don't you take him to see that Miss Middleton? Don't you women have a social club for things like this?
You mean the Women's Club Civics Committee?
Right.
Well, the club does take an interest in such cases, but we're not an employment service either, which is why I thought you could help me.
Oh, you do love being married to the company president.
It has its advantages.
You ever think of trading it in?
Do you?
Diane, I got my shoes shined this morning. And as I sat there and watched the boy work, I thought, man, this is quite an enterprise. The work walks in, the work walks away. No inventory, no warehouses, no health inspectors, no stock prices.
And you trade that all in for your own shoe shine stand?
Fewer headaches that way.
So you're in one of those moods again. What can it be this time? It can't be the market. It just went up today.
Ooh, so now you're reading the financial pages.
I have to entertain myself somehow. So what happened today? You're acting very strange.
Am I? I'm sorry.
Tell me, man.
There's nothing to tell. Really. This is going to be our best year yet.
So it's the prospect of success that you find so disheartening?
I'll get my checkbook.
What for?
Your bricklayer.
Artie, he needs a job, not charity. What is it your father says? A working man needs to work. It wears...
It wears on his soul not to work. Well, if it's a matter of his soul, then that's different. I'll have him talk to Dan.
Artie,
But no promises, Diane.
no promises.
And to your health.
How long have you had this drainage?
A week or two. It's something awful, Dr. Neff.
Anything else bothering you?
Back hurts some too.
You're back now? Have you seen your regular doctor?
Says it's nerves.
Nerves?
About my wedding and all.
This ain't no case of nerves. Hope you told him that.
Well, what do you think?
Think you better schedule that surgery.
Honey, couldn't we put it off a little? Till after my wedding?
You don't have that surgery, you won't have no wedding.
Huh?
Miss Fryer, I want you to listen to me. Your jawbone is decaying. That's the black pus oozing out of your gums. It's the bone itself.
That's impossible.
To Mr. Arthur Reeder, U.S. Radium Corporation, from Cecil Drinker, Harvard University. Enclosed is our report.
Fine.
We believe the trouble in your plant is due to the radium.
Radium.
It can't be as bad as all that.
Cut off the surgery and you'll develop a septic condition. It could be fatal.
The blood changes in your employees can be explained on no other grounds.
Everything I've got, I've saved for my wedding.
Photographic films carried by employees show heavy fogging,
Well, I got a suggestion for you.
and we suspect high levels of gamma radiation throughout the plant.
Go to the radium plant and explain your situation.
Go to the company?
We realize no proof can be offered as of present.
Once they see what kind of shape you're in,
This is impossible.
they gotta feel obligated to help you out.
But in view of the material in the literature
It's a mistake.
and the facts disclosed by our investigation,
I don't see how they could refuse.
we recommend immediate and drastic remedial action.
Look, if you want, I'll write some for you. They can work through me, just pay my bills directly.
You think they do that?
Charlie!
You got more obligation, don't you think?
I guess so.
We'll do it right now. I'll get some paper.
He has to be wrong. That's all. He's wrong. Charlie, take a look at this. He has to be wrong.
He must have overlooked something.
If we're suffering from an ailment caused by the radium, it should occur generally throughout the whole plant.
One would expect.
There are several hundred milligrams of radium in the big vats at all times. There's several hundred in ore, and there's several hundred in crystallizing.
The entire backyard is filled with tailings.
Radium's present in large quantities over our entire property.
If it's the radium, then the incidence of illness should be highest in the laboratory.
Yet, no one there is sick.
Perhaps it's some combination of the radium and the zinc?
Or something peculiar to our plant alone.
Some kind of bacteria, perhaps? In the brushes?
Yeah. It can't be the radium, though. There are dozens of application plants, just like this one, all over the country, and none of them have ever reported anything like this.
The Department of Labor wants to see the report.
Yes, I'm well aware.
Well, what are we going to do? This tears us to pieces. How do we answer that?
If they want to see the report. We'll send them this page.
One page?
The most important page.
Drinker will never stand for this.
Drinker works for us. And besides, that's a proprietary report. What we do with it is our business.
The Department of Labor, Arthur.
Time, Charlie. That's all we need. Just a little bit of time.
They could shut us down for this.
Charlie, the scientists, government men, they have no idea what it takes to run a business. Von Sochocky thought advertising was a dirty word. He laughed at the very idea of promotion. You have no idea how many times I walked into that man's office and he turned a deaf ear to anything I had to say. But we showed him, Charlie. We showed him. We are the single largest supplier of radium in the entire country. In the world. You, of all people, know what it took to get here. You really think we're going to stand idly by and watch as our name gets dragged through the mud?
Dr. Flynn, it's awful nice of you to come all this way.
Not at all, my dear. Not at all.
I told the surgeon he was coming over, so you give me the results of my blood work.
Excellent.
And so,
I must say, Miss Fryer, your blood looks better than mine.
it does?
That's what happens to an old man who smokes. Now, tell me, what else has been bothering you?
My feet and my back mostly. I've had to wear a brace for a while.
So I can see. And this started before you left the company or after?
After I left. Dr. Neff says this all has to do with the radium plant. I know another girl from the plant who died from it. Irene Rudolph.
Ah, yes. Terrible thing. Venecine.
What's that?
An ulcerated condition of the mouth, my dear.
From the radium?
Oh, no. An unfortunate and rare result of poor dental health. So, let this always be a lesson to you. Brush your teeth.
There's something else about those in these papers. About the girls who got sick. One girl I worked with for a while, she's in the hospital in New York, and the doctors don't know what to do. I've never seen anything like it.
Miss Fryer, don't tell me you pay attention to those papers. They are not scientific. But reporters are not scientific. They do not follow scientific methods. They write to sell, not to educate. A scientist is not concerned with what sells. He is concerned with the truth.
He undertakes years of painstaking study to arrive at intricate natural processes that most people could never presume to comprehend. You would do well to listen to science and ignore the nonsense in those papers, because I can tell you right now, radium has nothing to do with what's ailing you.
It doesn't?
Not in the least.
And what is ailing me?
Poor diet, Miss Fryer, poor diet.
But Dr. Neff said
Dr. Neff is a dentist, not a physician. What you have is a vitamin deficiency. You must eat more fresh fruit.
Hard to do in the winter.
Raw meat as well. It will help with the anemia. Raw calf's liver particularly. Cook it if you must, but eat it twice a week at a minimum. Oh, no, Miss Fryer. I'm a scientist. I take a purely scientific interest in your situation. By allowing me to examine you, you are furthering my studies. I thank you. Call me anytime, day or night.
Okay, Dr. Flynn. Thanks.
Happy to be of service, my dear.
Dr. Frederick Flynn, Ph.D., Physiology, Columbia University. Ph.D.? That's not a real doctor.
My findings, Mr. Reader.
No, he's seen half a dozen girls that used to work at the plant. Word I hear, he's working for the company.
An objective evaluation, I trust.
The source of my funding has no bearing on my research.
And I thought that fellow examined me.
I never examined her per se. It was not a medical examination per se.
Nevertheless, you were able to offer her some useful advice.
I did my best for her.
No, it's always the same thing with every single girl he sees.
Your blood is better than mine, he says.
And how are you doing on the rest of the report?
The animal studies I conducted reveal no adverse effects from the radium. The problem, as you suspected, is one of personal hygiene only.
I can't believe somebody would do that to you. Should not lie to you like that.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
It's exactly the way you say, Kathryn. Those people will say anything. They'll do anything.
Except the right thing.
Well, we're going to make them, Kathryn. We're going to make sure someone hears about this.
I'm most grateful, Dr. Flynn. However, I'm particularly grateful to hear that that young lady you earlier examined is doing so much better.
I didn't examine her. No. I merely consulted with her.
All the same. She is doing better, isn't she?
From what I can see, Mr. Reader, she appears to be on the road to recovery.
Excellent.
My statement of fees and expenses.
Mr. Lee will draw you a check.
And so I leave you now with this one thought. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have to accept injustice. We can use our powers as consumers to influence the practices of those who wish to profit from our patronage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wiley, and thanks to the New Jolie's Consumers League for another job well done. This concludes our program for this evening. I don't think we have time for any questions, but we hope you can join us next door for light refreshments.
Did you learn anything?
My throat's a little dry.
Can I help you, miss?
I'm here to see Miss Wiley.
You're not a member of the Women's Club.
No, ma'am, but...
Are you a guest of a member?
No, ma'am, but...
Then I'm sure Mrs. Wiley would be happy to see you during her regular business hours.
Well, I'm not leaving until I see Miss Wiley.
It's all right, Miss Middleton. It's fine. You must be Miss Fryer.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Young at the health department said I should see you. I know I should have stopped by your office, but I missed a lot of work lately, and I don't want to miss no more.
There's no need to apologize. I've been meaning to call on you myself. Please sit down.
Me and Kathryn, we went to the company about our troubles, but we haven't heard anything. So we went to see a couple lawyers, but they said they can't do anything because it's been so long since we left the radium plant. Something about the law won't allow it.
The statute of limitations.
Right. And one lawyer, he said he'd sue anyhow, but he wants $1,000 up front. I already spent everything I saved on my wedding on doctors and dentists and hospitals, and I still don't know what's wrong exactly. And Tom, that's my fella. Says you don't care. Wants to get married anyhow, but I just wonder, what good am I going to do him like this? Miss Wiley, if I could just get some compensation, I could sit on my debt. Maybe I wouldn't feel like I'm saddling Tom with such a burden. I'm sorry to rattle on you about these things. I'm just so tired of being pushed around.
And I don't blame you.
Miss Young at the health department, she said the Consumers League has, what did she say, clout?
Well, I'd like to think so. We've certainly had our share of successes.
So can you help us then?
Tell me, Miss Fryer, just how far are you willing to go with this?
Ma'am?
Suppose I do find a lawyer to take your case, one that would take it on a contingency. You wouldn't have to pay unless you won. Would you be willing to sue?
I want my compensation.
Of course you do. But now suppose the company says, here's some money, Miss Fryer. Only you were to tell no one what we've agreed to. And you were to say nothing about how you got sick.
Keep it quiet, you mean?
Yes,
That doesn't seem right.
it isn't right. But that's what they'll do. They'll try to buy your silence. Is it for sale, Miss Fryer?
No. No, ma'am, it isn't.
Good.
So, can you help us then?
I think I can help you, if you're willing to take some chances.
Chances?
Miss Fryer, if you'd be willing to put your own needs aside, just for the moment, we could put a stop to that company, and we could stop them dead in their tracks.
What do I have to do?
We'd start by putting you on page 1.
Page 1? You wanted to talk to the newspaper?
Not just one newspaper, many newspapers.
Well, is that really necessary? I mean,
It's all right,
Grace.
Connie. Let her finish.
I understand your concerns, but this company has already shown that it's willing to go to extremes to protect itself. No, I'm afraid the only way we can get to them is hit them where it matters most, their public image. When every newspaper in America tells your story, how you were sorely treated, how you suffered, how the company denied all responsibility, believe me, Miss Fryer, when that happens, Arthur Reeder will come to the table with his hat in his hands.
All right, Miss Wiley.
I know it's a little frightening.
It's all right. I'm more angry than I am upset.
Good. And you hold on to that anger, because you're going to need it. Just be sure no one else sees it.
Ma'am?
Public sympathy, Miss Fryer, is our strongest weapon. But the public doesn't have much sympathy for an angry woman.
December 4th, 1927. Jack Youngman reporting for the New York Ledger
Yesterday in Harlem Photographic,
on the strange case of the Radium Girls,
who claimed to have been poisoned at the hands of their employer.
and now seek their day in court.
$250,000.
That's the price tag on their suffering.
$250,000.
Ask me, it's all a sham.
What do you mean? Those girls are very sick.
Sick of working, sure. Doctors say Radium Girls have only 1 year to live.
1 year to live and $250,000. What would you do with that kind of money?
What would you do? To ease your last suffering days on Earth, what would you do with $250,000?
I'd buy a wardrobe like Irene Castle's.
I'd give it all to charity.
Then travel around the world first class with all my friends.
I'd play the stock market. I'd buy my wife a new fur coat and a diamond the size of New Hampshire.
My house, what my father took out for our last operation.
Pretty Grace Fryer sits at home, suffering bravely through this entire ordeal, struggling valiantly to keep up her flagging spirits.
For the sake of her family and her friends. It hurts to smile, but I try to smile. I know if I don't smile, I'll go crazy.
Tell us, Grace, how does it feel to know you have so little time left?
Try not to think about it.
It must get to you sometimes.
Learn what you've been through.
And the company's getting a fat off your labor.
And all they have to say for it is,
No comment.
Don't you just want to punch someone? Oh, no. That won't do no good. I just try to think about how it's gonna be when justice prevails. Maybe I'll do something nice for the folks. Maybe send them on a trip. They never did have no honeymoon.
What a fine example of womanhood. Can't we all aspire to bear our crosses as bravely as this young girl has?
Mr. Barry, I must object to this kind of histrionic.
I had nothing to do with that, Mr. Markley.
I've been in this game a long time. When I see a story like this move over the wires, I am not so naive as to believe the plaintiff's attorney had nothing to do with it.
What's your proposal, Mr. Markley?
$1,500 for each girl.
$1,500? That's not even a year's wages.
We think it's very generous considering your trial won't survive the statute of limitations.
This is a case in equity, sir. The Chancery Court will come to a different conclusion.
The Chancery Court cannot rewrite the law, and the law is clear 2 years from the date of injury, and your clients are out of time.
2 years from the date the cause of injury is discovered.
Very creative, Mr. Barry. Very clever. I have to admire your imagination, but you've got a long way to go before you can convince the judge.
And in the meantime, Mr. Markley, the press is going to continue to take a great interest in the story and in the company's complete indifference to its workers.
No doubt that will prove to be good press for the Consumers League, and you accuse us of exploiting these girls.
You're the ones hiding behind the statute of limitations.
Hiding, Miss Wiley?
You know very well the law never anticipated a situation like this. These girls have been dying years before anyone knew the cause.
Before anyone knew, does that include the U.S. Radium Corporation, Miss Wiley? When, or should I say if, this case goes to trial, I only hope that your opening statement, you will have made our defense. See you at the hearing.
The arrogance of that man.
Tell me again the purpose of these articles, Miss Wiley.
Public sympathy, Mr. Barry. It's the engine of reform.
You're antagonizing the company.
And the strategy's working.
And what about the girls? How does it help them to read in so many newspapers that they have so little time left to live?
Mr. Barry, surely you can see. The U.S. Radium Corporation cares nothing for the girls it's poisoned. But the average housewife in Orange cares a great deal, as do millions of other women across the country. Because these women shop. They buy watches. Markley can be as smug as he likes, but the Consumers League campaign is going to lead to one outcome, and he knows it. That is why he was here today.
I only hope you're right, Miss Wiley.
Public sympathy, Mr. Barry. You wait and see.
Dear Miss Schwab, I read of your sad story in the Boston Globe, and I'm so sorry for your plight. It seems in this time of rapid advancement, the well-being of your average worker is overlooked. I would like to share with you girls the key to my own good health at the age of 92. It is called Christian Science.
Dear Miss Fryer, I read of your woeful situation at the Atlanta Constitution, and I am prepared to offer you girls a solution. Venecine, a wonderful tonic made of all natural ingredients. Venecine will restore your health and vitality. We are prepared to offer your girls a solution of a lifetime supply of Venecine in exchange to use your pictures in our advertisements.
Dear girl, I read about your story in the Billings Gazette. I run 100 head of cattle up here, and I do very well for myself. I have always longed for a companion, and I feel that I am well suited to provide for you. A girl like you has suffered so much. Don't you think that you deserve some happiness in the last fleeting hours? Sincerely, your admirer, Leonard F. Watkins. P.S. Enclosed is my headshot.
Look at this mail, Kathryn. This man actually sent a picture. You all right, Kathryn?
Mm-hmm. Just bleeding again.
Shall I get the nurse?
It'll stop.
Maybe we should go.
No. Don't go.
Don't you need your sleep?
Who needs sleep? I don't need sleep.
Well, we'll sleep tomorrow.
Yeah, might not wake up.
Of course you'll wake up.
Yeah, but I might not. People go into the hospital and sometimes they don't sometimes they don't come out too good. My mother's cousin, she went in for her appendix. She never came home again.
Well, you just can't think that way. That's all. Look at this nail, Kathryn. Miss Wiley said folks will be on our side, and she sure is right. Here's one from California
But
where...
what if we don't win?
Of course we'll win.
But what if we don't? My father will lose the house. We'll be on the street. You'll be on the street. Oh, you and Tom will never get married. Grace, how can you stand it?
Kathryn, please.
How can Tom stand it? No, I never hear him complain about
Kathryn,
it.
once the judge hears our testimony, he'll rule for us. All they gotta do is take one look at us. It'll be over in a day.
You think so?
Sure. Once they see what kind of shape we're in, it'll awful hard to ignore. Don't you think?
Yeah, I guess you're right. You know, it'd be something to see the look on Mr. Reader's face whenever we get up there to testify.
No, you wanna look at some more mail?
They didn't have no milk, so I got some chocolate.
Took you long enough.
You dunk it on me. There were 6 people stopped me on the way over here. All of them reporters and all of them asking after you.
Yeah, they're waiting for me to die.
No one is waiting for you to die.
It's true. One of them called my mother the other day, asking if I had died yet. Whenever she said no, they sounded disappointed.
Eat a little more of this. I feel better.
Evening, girls. How about a picture?
Oh, but Mike, what are you doing?
We need some pictures for the graphics exclusive on the girls.
Exclusive? What are you talking about?
$5,000, that's what. You think you could use $5,000, Grace?
I don't understand.
Perhaps you know the name Bernard McFadden.
Who, that faith healer?
Herbalist. Mr. Kreider, herbalist. Bernard McFadden is a patent herbal therapist who believes he has just what these girls need to get back on their feet. The graphic will pay. All we ask is the exclusive rights for the girls from there on out. Have a look.
You want to pay us to see Bernard McFadden?
Easy money, huh? Let me see that.
You're serious, Grace.
Graphic always does business on the up and up.
I don't know.
Grace, what does your father own the house?
I don't know exactly.
That last hospital bill. That had to be a couple hundred at least.
At least.
Maybe we should think about this.
And all we have to do is talk to this herbalist fella?
Of course, we'll run a series of features following the illness, treatment, and recovery, or otherwise, of the girls, depending on the outcome.
And then you print whatever you want.
We'll add some color, but everybody adds some color.
Don't sound so bad.
Maybe we should talk to Miss Wiley about this.
Miss Wiley, what's she got anything to do with this? You're the one with the bills to pay.
Well, it wouldn't be right to do something like this without talking to Miss Wiley first.
You're a big girl, Grace. Can't you make your own decisions?
Of course I can make my own decisions.
You'd take it if it came from the company.
Well, the company owes us a lot more than that.
If you ever see it.
Maybe we should do this.
Just don't feel right.
Now, you're gonna talk to them reporters anyhow. May as well get something out of it.
He's right, you know. Everybody's crazy to read the story. Believe me, you girls can cash in big. When we run the feature on you girls, bang, sold out every copy at every newsstand. Everybody can sympathize with the plight of some poor, sick girl facing certain death with no hope of fulfillment of motherhood.
I'd like you to go now. My friend is tired and she needs her rest.
Grace, at least think about it.
Yes, think about it. I understand. You're afraid of what others are going to think. But hey, you gotta think about your own interests here. Number one, that's the way. Everybody else is out to get what they want. Why keep your nose clean when everybody else is up to their elbows in it?
Gentlemen, I've treated a number of sick girls here. One of them, the girl's jaw rotted so bad I was able to remove it just by lifting the bone out of her mouth. As you can see,
That's all right, Doctor. You can put that away.
maybe you'd rather look at it on the x-rays. This was an expensive case to treat, and I never did get no compensation. The girl died. Her family never paid.
I do sympathize, Doctor, but what does that have to do with us?
Here it is straight. There's going to be a lot more girls coming out and saying they got sick here. So maybe we can do business. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. That sort of thing.
I'm not following.
Say you was to give me a list of the girls who work here at the company. I'd see to it there weren't no more lawsuits.
You think you could cure all of them?
I could put out cure, no. I'm saying I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
How so, Dr. Neff?
I examine each girl for radium necrosis, and then I come up with a favorable diagnosis, pyora, say, or something else. Most cases will just die natural death anyway, and we can put off the rest until the statute of limitations kicks in and it's too late to sue.
You'll persuade them they haven't got a case against the company.
Exactly. And if it did come to court, I could say that it was some other problem. It'd be strong testimony coming from the dentist who treated them.
How can you be so sure that all those girls will come to you?
They'll come to me quick if I don't charge them nothing.
Because we'd be paying you.
Exactly right. We understand each other, Mr. Reader.
Exactly what are you asking for, Dr. Neff?
I need $10,000 for my trouble here on out, and for a girl that each agree to visit me, $2 for every visit, plus expenses for the x-rays. I suggest a gentleman's agreement here. Better off if it's not in writing.
No.
All right, we'll put it in writing.
We'll do nothing of the sort. Your proposal, it's immoral and will have nothing to do with it.
Immoral, you say? You're a fine one to be talking about morals.
Mr. Lee,
When you have your own hired guns ready to testify.
those are expert witnesses.
Expert witnesses, paid lackeys is more like it, and none of them's got the dirt I got. If you're smart, you'll play ball with me. Believe me, there's plenty of other folks interested in the information.
You're threatening me.
Just the business proposition, Mr. Reader. Just looking out for my interests. Same way you look after yours.
Mr. Lee, show Neff to the door.
All right. You don't want to play ball, fine. But believe me, when all this shakes out, won't be me holding the short end of the stick.
Gentlemen, I want you all to make statements on what happened this morning. We'll send him to the State Dental Society. Then Neff will see who's playing ball and who isn't.
An excellent idea. I'm not so sure. Maybe we shouldn't be too quick to dismiss Neff's proposal.
What do you mean?
We're in a very bad situation here, Mr. Reader.
That's true. Mr. Lee says you're having trouble getting girls to work here,
Yes, and we've already lost some contracts because of it,
and it's going to get worse.
The papers are full of stories about those girls.
making them out to be saints.
And what defense can we put out?
Except to say that we'll try our case in court.
And in the court of public opinion, we've already lost.
Perhaps we should reconsider Neff's offer. It certainly wouldn't hurt to have testimony from a dentist who treated those girls.
We should retain Neff. He could be helpful to us.
Retain him as what? An extortionist?
As an expert.
Like Dr. Flynn.
Dr. Flynn is a highly respected professor at Columbia University. Neff is a neighborhood dentist.
But Dr. Flynn treated some of the girls, didn't he?
He didn't treat them. He consulted with them.
He dispensed medical advice, Arthur.
It wasn't medical. It was an expert's opinion. A purely scientific opinion.
What about if we retain Neff, but don't put him on the stand? Just to keep him from testifying for the woman.
That's the most important thing.
Yes, I agree, that is the most important thing.
Would you agree to something like that, Mr. Reader?
Mr. Reader?
Mr. Reader.
Edward, we can't possibly do something like this. We can't get into bed with a man like Neff.
Arthur's right. We don't want to do business with a man like Neff.
He could hurt us. You have to take steps.
Neff has already given us everything we need. New evidence, gentlemen. This is grounds for a postponement.
studying X-ray. It's outrageous. And the girls, did you see the girls? Their eyes like saucers, looking at me, terrified.
Mr. Barry,
How are they going to hold out 3 more months? Kathryn Shaw could barely make it into the courtroom today. And Grace, she was trying so hard not to cry. And of course, I had all the answers. Go home, girls. Get some rest. That's the best I could do. Get some rest.
you're doing wonderfully, Mr. Barry. It's a difficult case.
I don't understand people like Markley. And Reader, how can he play this kind of game? With those poor girls sitting right there?
Maybe this will help explain it. I received a letter.
You'd think the company would be so eager to take care of this, with the kind of publicity it's gotten. But Markley seems to enjoy the sport of it. What he can get away with, it's cold, very cold.
Mr. Barry,
What's this?
it's from Kathryn Drinker. Mrs. Cecil Drinker of Harvard. She's an industrial hygienist also. She worked with Dr. Drinker in a study of the radium plant. Well, it was a joint effort, actually.
That's very interesting, Miss Wiley, but we've already seen this document. There's nothing in it to help us.
You've only seen part of it, Mr. Barry. Please, this is the full report. I received it this morning. Mrs. Drinker has been following our story very closely in the papers, and she was particularly disturbed to read that last article in the Ledger, the one where Mr. Lee says your study clears the company.
He doctored the report? Reader doctored the report?
Apparently, he pulled one page listing the blood conditions of a dozen employees and passed it off as the whole thing. Doesn't seem so bad on its own, does it? But in context, it's a somewhat different picture.
We can use this.
Yes, that should impress the judge.
The judge? Miss Wiley, I'm not going to wait 3 months to make use of this. I want you to call the contact that you have down at the New York World. If Reader won't let us present our evidence in the courtroom, he can read about it in the newspaper. January 12th, 1928. Jack Youngwood reporting for the New York Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
Radium Girls go to court today.
Radium Girls knock at the doors of justice. Will they be heard?
These poor injured girls face pain,
Disfigurement
ruin.
and death. And as their clock ticks away the precious moments,
A hearing begins in the Chancery Court,
where the U.S. Radium Corporation demands postponement,
while plaintiff's attorney Raymond Berry makes a shocking disclosure,
showing that the company lied to the Department of Labor,
showing that it destroyed the results of a Harvard study.
concealing the ill effects of its products.
Read all about it in the Ledger.
Read all about it in the graphic. We care because you care.
Very bad.
You didn't read it?
I make a point not to these days.
If only other people would do the same. Miss Mitchell from across the street, she walked right past me this morning, didn't even say a word to me. And I know she saw me. And the women at the market, and the green grocer, the way they glance at each other. And at the club, Miss Middleton and the other ladies, the whispers.
Why do you still read that? Why don't you read something else? I saw a journal sitting around here the other day. Why don't you read that?
At the club today, someone actually had the nerve to come up to me and say, "Is it true? Is it true?" she said. "Did your husband really poison those women?" And I said, "Miss Cowles, if you think it is true, why would you even speak to me at all? I certainly wouldn't associate with a woman whose husband did such things."
Why do you still go there? Well, that's the way people are.
I've been a member for years.
Well, what do you want me to say? I knew we were poisoning the women, but we were making so much money that we didn't want to quit. Is that what you want?
I certainly do not want you to say such a thing.
Even if it were true? Especially if it were true?
Is it true?
Is that what you think?
What would you like me to think?
For God's sake, Diane, don't you see it? It's von Sochocky, and he's behind all of this. He's jealous of our success, so he's feeding information to the Consumers League, so they can railroad us.
Why would the consumers...
A bunch of radical women. Do-gooders. Half of them Reds, probably. Socialists, that's what they are.
What?
The same thing as that stupid club of yours.
Wait.
All you women think you can go around and fix the world, while your husbands go off and make a living.
I can't, I'm sorry.
You're gonna quit that club.
Quit the club?
And quit talking to that idiot Miss Middleton, too.
You're
She
not
doesn't know
making
anything.
any sense.
None of those women know anything. You don't know anything.
Did you lie to the Department of Labor?
What?
Did you lie?
I didn't lie. I just didn't agree with the drinkers' result.
Arthur!
Diane, I have a fiduciary duty to the company.
I can't listen to this.
Diane, I have documents, articles, people with tumors the size of baseballs. Radium therapy, and they disappear.
I'm tired. I'm going upstairs.
We save lives. We make lives better. Mild radium therapy, it invigorates. You can't really think I'm a liar, Diane. You can't believe that I set out to hurt people.
No.
Do you really think I'd do anything to hurt you? Or hurt Harriet?
Certainly not.
Then?
13 girls have died.
People die every day. The newspapers are full of death notices. Young, old, infants, children younger than Harriet die every day.
But they worked for you.
They also worked other places. I have a report from Columbia University, an expert in industrial hygiene, just like Dricker, who says there's no connection between the plants and our illnesses. Do you want to see the report?
What could the cause be?
I don't know, Diane. Truly, I don't. And I've done everything I can to find out. Nobody knows. Please say you believe me, Diane. If you don't believe me, then, well, there's really no point to anything.
Sorry.
Do you remember that day I told my father I wasn't joining the ministry? What you said to me that day?
You could do as much good in the boarding as you can in the church.
Do you remember?
You think I would forget?
I was such a scared kid. He was an icon. If it weren't for you, Diane, I don't think I could have stood up to him.
I'm sure you would have, Marty. I know you would.
And ever since that day, he's been searching for signs. The signs that my soul is lost. You don't think that, do you? That my soul is lost?
You're a good man, Marty.
We save lives.
You save lives.
Diane, you know that all of this is for you. Everything I ever have been, everything I've ever done is for you.
I know.
Oh, please don't let that be another reporter. Don't answer it.
Arthur!
Is that Mr. Lee?
For God's sake, Charlie.
I just got off the phone with the reporter from the Ledger.
Can't this wait until morning?
I'm sorry. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Lee.
It's Dr. Lehman.
Dan?
He's dead, Arthur.
What?
He died this morning.
No, Charlie, that's not possible. I saw him just last week.
They were just here a month ago for cards. They were just here.
Martland's already done the autopsy. He says it was a severe anemia.
He's blaming the radium.
And the Ledger wants to run it on page 1. I told the reporter we'd issue a statement by 8 o'clock. That's when he needs it, so it can run tomorrow.
One of the services.
Sorry?
The funeral services.
Oh, I don't know.
We'll send flowers. Diane?
I'll call Louise.
Right. Call Louise.
I should go see her. Oh, poor Louise. We should go see her right now.
I wouldn't do that, Mrs. Reeder.
Why ever not?
She's planning to sue.
Louise?
The reporter told me she's filing a wrongful death action. Look, I've already worked up a statement for the paper. Company chemist for 8 years, always in poor health, recently declined.
But Dan was never sickly. He was always on the golf course, or sailing, or in the garden. Artie, they kept such a beautiful
Charlie, why don't we handle this in the morning?
Of course. I'm sorry for the bad news, Mrs. Reeder. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Lee.
Good night, Charlie. Charlie can be a bit excessive at times. I've got to say something. I don't know what, but I have to. The shareholders will expect it.
You needn't explain.
Sometimes it's necessary.
It's all right. You needn't explain. We're going to kill this woman.
There's still half a case under the sink.
And we'll get rid of that too. There'll be no more of it in this house.
I'll take care of it. And Diane, I'm in too far to quit.
I didn't really expect you to.
January 21st, 1928, to Mr. Raymond Berry, from Harrison, Martland, Medical Examiner, Essex County. We've examined the remains of deceased Amalia Madja. Our studies reveal the following. Radioactive substances have been found in large quantities in the lower jaw, upper jaw, and lumbar vertebrae. No evidence of syphilis was found.
Body is radioactive.
Bones of dead girl kick off gamma rays.
Kathryn Wiley of Consumers League declares new evidence shows company lied.
Dr. Joseph Neff, a Newark dentist who treated Amalia, has turned over portions of the jawbone that he removed from her mouth. This x-ray shows the jawbone is still radioactive 5 years after the girl died.
Will this make your case?
Will this force a settlement?
Make our case? No. This gentleman will make our case.
Last night in a graphic exclusive, the founder of the Radium Corporation broke his long silence with this shocking announcement.
Radium is one of the most dangerous substances known to man.
Is it true that you assisted with the autopsy, doctor?
Yeah, and given my expertise in the radium extraction, I was able to determine that Miss Madja absorbed enough radium to kill 10 people.
What did this say about mild radium therapy? Are you now advising against it?
Radium is responsible for the deaths of these girls. It should be considered a most dangerous substance.
Do you agree with the doctor's prognosis that the Radium Girls only have 1 year to live?
From what I've seen, they'll be lucky to last that long. I tell you what we should have done. We should have taken that reporter up on our offer when we had the chance. That's what we should have done.
$5,000. Don't make me laugh.
And we should have talked her up too. So I tell you what, they'd have paid. I tell you what else.
Stop telling me what we should have done! Lots of things we should have done. Don't do no good to think about them now.
Right? Keep a shirt on.
What do you think? Red or the blue?
So what's Barry say? Is he gonna go back to the company?
I like the red, but it don't fit so well these days.
Is he gonna try to talk the company up a bit?
Well, Miss Wiley thinks another interview will do the job, so I say, what's one more? You know?
But well, what if they came up to 5,000? Would you take it then if the company came up to 5,000?
Let them come up. I'm not caving in.
It's called a settlement.
A settlement. It's just a way for them to hide.
Let them hide.
Then they win.
So they win. They're gonna win anyway.
Makes you got so much confidence in me.
Grace, for Christ's sake, you got one lawyer working for nothing, up against 6 who are all making a bundle. And you think you got a chance?
You know what I found out today? They put lead screens in the laboratory for the technicians. They give us lead screens.
Oh, Jesus.
What do you say? 100 girls in a room, they spend that kind of money on us?
Grace.
And they want to keep it all quiet.
What are we doing
And
here,
Miss Wiley
Grace?
says they're going to close this one down and move across the river to
Grace.
New York. And open
Grace.
another factory like nothing ever happened.
What are we doing here? I thought the idea was you'd get some compensation, settle your debts, get a better doctor, and then we'd move on with things.
Move on with things.
You're still wearing my ring.
Oh, Tommy.
Grace, there's a house for sale in my brother's name. 2 rooms up, 2 rooms down. It's not much, but it's a start. You'll like it. It already has flower bowl. And best of all, it's only 3 blocks from the school.
School. What do we need with the school?
Yeah. Plan ahead for once.
Tommy, what do you think is going to happen after all this is over? Do you think it's going to go back to exactly the way it was?
Why wouldn't it?
I got to see the surgeon again.
Uh-huh.
I've got some fluid. He's going to drain it.
Okay.
And then he says, there'll be more.
So we deal with
And still more! And more! And still more! Why can't you see that? How can you talk about buying houses and getting married when you know there's nothing?
Grace, I can't think about that. I just want for us to be together now. I want to come home to you at night. My wife, my home. I'm too old to be living this in-between life. I promise, Grace. I'll do whatever it takes to make it easy.
Here,
Grace, come on.
I should have given it back to you a long time ago.
I don't want it.
Tommy, please. Are you going to make me say it?
You haven't been getting enough rest, that's all. You just need some more sleep.
Tommy.
You get some more sleep, and I'll be back to see you tomorrow.
Tommy, don't you do this to me. Tommy!
Charlie.
Aren't you headed home?
Charlie, I've been thinking it over. I think we're doing the wrong thing. I think we ought to settle. We have to give those girls a reasonable offer.
No, Arthur. We agreed. We need a definitive victory. Otherwise, we might more of the same nonsense.
Things have changed.
Arthur, I know you and Dan were close, but you can't let that cloud your judgment.
Von Sochocky is going to testify.
We can deal with him.
And how?
Put more money in his pocket.
Well, so now you want to bribe him.
Not a bribe. Consideration. Consideration. For an expert witness. Whatever Barry's paying him, we'll just make a better offer.
You have a thing or two to learn about guilt yet.
Right now, I don't have the luxury of thinking about it.
Charlie, a guilty man has a tremendous need to unburden himself. His guilt can simply eat him alive. But don't you see it? What Von Sochocky wants is to be a free man. That's why he's testifying for those girls. And that's why he'll never testify for us, no matter how much consideration you offer.
Settle with these girls, and you'll have to settle with them all. Neff was right about that. This is just the beginning.
And tell Markley to get in touch with Barry. Have him get a conversation going, come up with a reasonable figure the girls can accept.
Arthur, for Christ's sake, what are you trying to do to me? Are you trying to wipe me out?
We gotta get this off the table.
Every penny I've put by in the last 7 years, I have sunk into this company. Why? Because you said it was a sure thing. No miss. Why work for Von Sochocky when we can work for ourselves? Remember that one? Take a chance, Charlie, take a chance.
We were fooled. Von Sochocky, he fooled us all. The only thing we can do now is clean up his mess as best we can.
Do this, and it's the end, Arthur.
You're stepping down.
Not me.
Well,
Don't you know? The board is just one vote away from getting rid of you.
and whose vote is that?
Arthur, have you so little faith in me?
Charlie, even if you put your vote in, you couldn't get me off. I'm a stockholder. I'll still be on it.
And still on the hook when this company goes under. Think about that the next time your conscience starts to bother you.
March 15, 1928. To Raymond Barry, Attorney at Law. From Edward Markley, Counsel, U.S. Radium. One of our expert witnesses has encountered a serious scheduling conflict which makes it impossible for him to testify in April. We therefore would request an extension until June. As for your request for a settlement, every case involves some humanitarian aspect. Therefore, I am afraid that cannot be the basis for settling this one. But I have no doubt that you will be rewarded for the good work you are doing, if not in this life, then in the next.
Rise and shine.
Madam Curie?
Time for work.
Oh, am I late? I set the alarm.
Up. We have 5,000 dials to pay before breakfast. It's all for the war effort.
Please, I'm so very tired.
No complaining. Good soldiers don't complain.
But I'm dying.
And who isn't?
Get up, Grace.
Irene?
Get up, sleepyhead. You can't make quota like this.
It isn't fair. I'm 26. I should be married by now. I should have children. I own a home.
We all have to make sacrifices sometimes.
I know I did.
But why? Why do we have to make these sacrifices?
It's all for science.
Science, family, every life is sacrificed to something. Just not their choosing age.
But I didn't choose. I didn't have no choice.
Sure you did, Grace. Sure you did.
Kathryn, don't do that. Kathryn?
No, look what you did. She's bleeding all over the dials.
I'm so sorry, Kathryn. I shouldn't have said anything.
No problem. What's one more dead dial painter?
Grace.
Mom?
Grace, Mr. Markley will be here any minute.
Mr. Markley?
Yeah, he's bringing the papers for you to sign. Did you fall asleep?
Has Miss Wiley been by?
Miss Wiley?
About Kathryn. She said she might come by. Did she come by?
She might have.
Don't you know?
Someone came to the door a while ago. I think your brother answered it.
They took Kathryn back to the hospital last night.
I know, dear, I know. After you talk to Mr. Markley, we'll go over there and see how she is doing. Now put a comb through that hair.
I dreamt she died.
Grace, don't speak such things.
If she dies, it's over.
We're 3 months behind on the mortgage, Grace.
I know that.
You can't let this go on.
$1,500. Not even a year's wages.
Well, it's better than nothing, ain't it?
Is that all I'm worth? Better than nothing?
Of course not, sweetheart, but let's be realistic. At the rate things are going, you'll never get inside that chrome room. And even if you do, you can't prove nothing.
Mr. Barry thinks we can.
Mr. Barry ain't paying the bills. There's the doctor and the bank and the coal man. We can't expect folks to treat like charity just because you're sick.
I'm not asking for charity, Ma. I just want what's owed to me.
Grace, I know it feels like you're laying Kathryn down, but she's had to take the company's offer. Would you hold that against her? No, you wouldn't. No, we'll take that check and pay the bills and whatever left. You and Tom can have a little something to get you started.
There's nothing to start, Ma.
Why do you have to be so hard on Tommy?
Oh, please don't.
Can't you see? He just can't face the thought of you not being with us.
Well, I have to face it. Why can't he?
Do something with your hair, Grace.
$250,000. What would you do with $250,000, Miss Fryer? I can't imagine. No point to it. Oh, you didn't tell me I had mail. New Mexico. Huh. You just keep writing. She was here. Miss Wiley was here. Ma, Miss Wiley was here. She left me a note.
Miss Fryer, Edward Markley.
Ma said you brought papers.
Yes, the terms like we said in our letter. I got a check right here. All we need is your signature. It's in triplicate.
That seems fair. Oh, no. Grace, Mr. Markley is a very busy man.
Oh no, take your time. If you prefer, I can come back tomorrow.
No, we'll do this now.
What's hold harmless?
You agree to hold the company harmless from any further action, and it precludes a wrongful death action also.
No more lawsuits.
Correct.
Is that just me or anybody in my family?
It's your entire family.
This is a confidential settlement?
Yes, it's standard for most legal arrangements. You agree to keep silent about the terms of the agreement, so do we. Cuts both ways.
That seems fair.
Need a pen?
I have another question.
Grace, Mr. Markley already explained the settlement to you.
Ma,
I don't mind.
what's contributory negligence, Mr. Markley? It's not in these papers. It's in the other papers that you filed when we did the lawsuit. The Radium Company's defense was of statute of limitations and contributory negligence.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
It means it's our fault, don't it?
It's a standard defense. I wouldn't take it personally.
How else can I take it?
Mr. Markley, Grace has had an awful headache all day. Maybe you can
Well,
leave
maybe
that.
he could just answer the question.
Why are you doing this?
Why didn't you tell me Miss Wiley came by?
You already made up your mind. She only tried to talk you out of it.
What did she say about Kathryn?
Mr. Markley, if you'll read the papers, Grace will sign
Mom,
them
what did
later.
she say about Kathryn?
She said it doesn't look good.
Maybe I should come back later when Miss Fryer is feeling better.
You didn't answer my question, Mr. Markley. And I'd really like an answer because let me tell you, I quit school at 15. I went to work at the radium plant because my folks needed the money.
At your factory, we were told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. My folks didn't raise me to make trouble, so I didn't make trouble. I did what I was told. I never asked questions. So how do you get contributory negligence at that?
Like I said, it's a standard defense.
There is nothing standard about what happened to me.
Sorry about your condition, but there is no evidence to tie the actions taken by the company to your condition.
And why are you giving me this money?
It's a humanitarian gesture.
Humanitarian gesture.
Mr. Markley, I'll take them.
Humanitarian! Month after month you put us off. Delay after delay, knowing how sick we were. How tired and desperate. Humanitarian. You're just waiting for us to die.
What do you mean?
Mom, one by one I have watched my friends get sick and die in the most awful way, and you think I should be grateful for any spare change you throw at me?
Miss Fryer, this is a very generous offer under the circumstances. I recommend you take it because it won't be on the table for much longer.
What do you mean?
If Miss Fryer does not sign within the next 24 hours, we will be forced to withdraw our offer permanently.
Grace?
He's lying.
I beg your pardon.
You're trying to tell me, if I don't sign these papers now, that I come back a week from now and change my mind. You still rather go to court? You still rather get some judge to look at me and take your chance I won't win on sympathy alone? 24 hours, you're just trying to bully me.
Fine. I will take that as a no. We will see you in court.
Yes, you will. If they have to carry me in there, you'll see me. You and Mr. Reeder both.
You call that man back.
I'm going to court, Mom.
What are you trying to prove? You know you can't win.
I want those people to look at me. I want those people to look at me and tell me how it's my fault I got sick working in their factory.
And that will get you what?
Ma, all my life I've done what other people told me to do. I quit school because you said I should. I put that brush in my mouth because Mrs. MacNeil said I should. I never said, please can I just go to school? I never said, I don't like the taste of that paint. I never argued. Even though I knew, Mom, I knew something wasn't right. At night, I'd lie in bed and I'd see my dress hanging on the back of the closet door, all aglow, my shoes on the floor, my hairbrush, and my comb on the dresser. So much light, Ma, so much light! And I never once questioned. I never even asked. Don't you see? They knew I wouldn't. That's what they were counting on.
Making all this noise.
I left messages with your housekeeper. I know you got them.
As we are no longer in business together, I thought it best not to respond.
So that's what this is about.
Perhaps a cup of tea will calm your nerves.
You never told us that that paint was dangerous. You didn't say a word about it. Not to me. Not to Dan.
I didn't know.
You didn't know? You invented the paint and you didn't know? How can you lie like that?
I didn't know until it was too late, Arthur.
I should put you through that wall right now.
Perhaps you should. But you will not. You will sit down. You will have a cup of tea, and you will calm yourself.
I wasn't the technical man. You were the technical man.
Yeah, I was the technical man. Now sit down, Arthur.
I sold watches for Christ's sake. I was a salesman.
A very good one at that. A very good head for the business you have here. Not such a good head for the science, but for the business, very good. Always you can find ways to cut costs without losing the quality. That's a gift, Arthur. So, why don't you have a cup of tea?
Jesus Christ! What happened to your hands?
It has been that way for some time.
What have you been? Dipping them in ink?
Dipping them in. How fond is a pretty story of it? If only it were ink. Dr. Martland tells me it's a necrosis of the tissue. The cells. They're dying. With the dial painters in the jaws, the necrosis. With me, in the hands.
Doctor, I had no idea.
No reason why you should. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
How long?
Well, I've known for a while. Miss Wiley, from the Consumers League, persuaded me to assist Dr. Martland in testing the dial painters for radium exposure. There aren't that many people around, you know, who can do that sort of thing. So she came to me, knowing I had the equipment, and, of course, the skill. I didn't want to believe her either, also. I didn't want to believe the girls could get sick from working with my paint. I wanted to show her it was a mistake. So, I agreed to assist Dr. Martland in conducting expired air tests on the girls. That's when I found out. Then my own breast registered radioactive. Then, my hands, they began to turn black. So, you wish to have words with me?
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, perhaps now you yourself should make an appointment with Dr. Martland.
What for?
Ah, sir. Have you not noticed the growing dust on your shoes when you went home at night?
How could I miss it? Tracked it all over the house.
You can be sure that a great deal of it is now inside your lungs. Now, this might not look familiar to you, but inside,
That's our promotional piece.
an excellent promotion. How many new sales does that literature account for?
I'm not sure exactly. I didn't keep track, but I like to think it helped our medical market quite a bit.
Page 96 of the first one.
What?
Open it. The last chapter. Read it to me.
Radium. Dangerous effects.
Dangerous effects. Now, how many articles do you have listed there? 10? 15?
About 20, it looks like.
How far back do they go, those articles?
I don't know.
Well, look at it. The first one. What is the date?
1906.
1906. Now, when you go to court, you plan to testify that you had no idea radium was dangerous. How can you plan to do that when your own book says that it was?
Well, doctor, I never read it.
What's that?
I never read the book. I paid a man to put it together for me. I only really glanced at the galleys. I never read its full content.
How do you mean you never read the book?
It was a standard arrangement. An outside company prepared the piece. They were responsible for its contents.
Which you never read.
I think you will find, Mr. Berry, that very few company presidents actually read the entire contents of their own promotions.
It has your name on it. You authorized the book's release. You have final approval of the content.
Mr. Lee was in charge of our promotional efforts at the time. I entrusted those activities to him.
And Mr. Reader, you testified that you started at the U.S. Radium Corporation in 1918?
Correct. As plant manager.
And you held this position for how long?
4 years.
During those 4 years, how often did you venture into the studio?
Every day.
Every day. So you must have observed the girls pointing the brushes on their lips?
I don't recall.
You're saying you went into that studio every day and you never saw a single girl put a brush to her mouth?
I said, I don't recall it.
You don't recall it. What do you recall, Mr. Reader? You're an awfully young man to have such a faulty memory.
Objection.
I withdraw. No more questions.
Your witness, Mr. Markley?
We have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, gentlemen, please approach. I'm ready to issue my ruling.
We have yet to present our defense.
I realize that, Mr. Markley, but this proceeding is to determine standing. Now I've heard enough these 2 days to make that determination. The radium in the bones of these girls is an ongoing source of poison in their systems. Nothing your witnesses can say will change that fact, will it?
Our witnesses are prepared to testify that the company could not have known about the dangers.
Mr. Markley, in the interest of justice, I'm asking that the defense, without calling any witnesses, we can conclude this hearing today and schedule the case for trial.
All right, Your Honor.
Fine. I therefore rule the statute of limitation has been excused, and these girls have standing to sue.
Your Honor, one thing. I'm very busy with 2 cases pending, and one of our key witnesses will not be available until the end of the summer. I recommend we postpone till September.
Your Honor.
Your Honor, our key witness is a man associated with higher education. Thus, this is the busiest time of year for him and cannot be available until September.
Mr. Markley is responsible for that situation. He is the one who has demanded continuous delays.
Your Honor, we have just waived our right to a defense at this hearing. You will not expect us to go to trial without the presence of our key witness.
All right, Mr. Markley, trial is set for September. This hearing is adjourned.
Edward, why can't Flynn be here?
He's going to Europe.
Europe? He's known about this for months. Why would... Oh, I see. Very clever. Now, how long do you plan on keeping this up?
As long as necessary.
Mr. Markley?
Congratulations, Mr. Barry. I didn't think they'd go for it.
You know full well these girls can't wait until September. One's so ill she can't even appear in court today.
My client has a right to his defense.
We will not wait until September, I promise you that. One way or another, we will find room on that docket, and your expert witness be damned.
Edward, that girl, she's still staring at me.
I wouldn't worry about it.
She thinks it's personal, that I meant for this to happen. How do I get her to understand that this isn't the way I wanted it to turn out?
You don't make her understand. You don't look at her. You don't.
But Edward, she looks like death.
Arthur, that can all look like death.
Grease? That man, Miss Wiley, he won't look at me. He won't ever look at me. He just looks right past me, like I'm not even there.
Doesn't matter, Grace. He heard you.
June 4th, 1928, Nancy Jane Harlan, The New York Graphic.
Jack Youngwood for the Ledger.
Raymond Barry seeks trial date for early summer.
As the U.S. Radium Corporation announces a settlement.
A settlement?
$10,000 cash for each girl and $12 a week for life.
$12 a week?
Read all about him in the Ledger.
The company also agrees to pay the medical expenses of each girl for the remainder of her life. And in return, the girls have agreed to submit a periodic examination by a panel of physicians yet to be appointed. Questions?
What led to the settlement?
Is it an admission of responsibility?
What about other pending cases?
It is purely for humanitarian reasons that the U.S. Radium Corporation has agreed to the settlement. We admit no liability whatsoever.
Where do you see the company going from here?
The United States Radium Corporation is pleased to see this lengthy litigation brought to a close and looks forward to many more years of serving its customers and its community.
Kathryn Wiley of the New Jersey Consumers League. Our press statement.
Were you pleased with the outcome, Miss Wiley?
Finally, these poor girls got some compensation for their suffering. But more importantly, the issue of radium poisoning is brought to public awareness.
Thanks, Miss Wiley.
The spelling, by the way, is Wiley with one L and Kathryn with a K.
Well, Edward, looks like we're back in business.
What's your game plan?
Oh, didn't I tell you? I found a buyer for all those tailings that have been piling up behind the building on Alden Street.
Oh,
Looks like some contractor in Montclair wants a little refill.
that's perfect.
Oh, Kathryn, this won't do. Can't see your name. There. Oh, Kathryn, I brought my watercolors today. Such a beautiful day, too. Trees are starting to turn, but still warm. Too warm for a sweater.